And what it do, folks? It's your boy Charles Younger here, and thank you for tuning in to Maryland Terrapins Live. It is an awesome day to have you here with me. It is October 26th. Can you believe it's October 26th already? It's about 9:30 p.m. We're recording here from the palatial estates here in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. I am your host, Charles Young. Again, unfortunately, the OG, Professor G. Mark Gray, is not with us. He was out in Vegas this weekend for the for an HBCU Classic. I believe it was Grambling State uh, Southern, I believe. I can't even, don't quote me on that. I kind of misplaced the notes I had on the game he's covering, but he was out in Vegas having a good time. Him and his wife, lovely wife, Veronica. Um, but I want to apologize for not having my regular content this week because my other gig had me working extra duty due to the Major League Baseball World Series. And by the way, what a World Series it has been. It is tied at a game apiece. Heading back to LA for game three, the Blue Jays beat the brakes off the Dodgers in game one, 11-4, and the score was not even that close. That home runs after home runs after home runs. Blake Snell did not get past 6 innings. The rookie Trey Savage had a great outing, but the Dodgers tied it back up. Game two to a score of 5-1 on the arm of Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who pitched a complete game, allowing only one run on 4 hits and striking out 8. The dude was Maddox like what he was painting the corners and he was placing the ball and he just basically befuddled these Blue Jay hitters. But the game goes back to LA for game three, I believe is on Monday. I'm not sure the 15 matchup, but stay tuned. My brothers at MLBBro.com will be covering the World Series. So tune into MLBBro.com for some of the best baseball coverage that you have out there. Speaking of Los Angeles, let's get back to the topic on hand. And that is Maryland football. These boys are about to get this work real quick. And a little later in the show, you'll hear from the incomparable Mark Gray on his takeaways of what happened in that debacle of a game out in the Rose Bowl as Maryland dropped its third consecutive game. That's a losing streak for you people out there. To the UCLA Bruins, 20-17. Another fourth quarter loss for the Terps has me thinking, what in the bluest of blue hells is going on with the Maryland Terrapins? Hopefully, this is a bye week, so they can't lose, but they can't win either. This bye week gives the boys a chance to correct everything. Still, they have a monster coming to town for the big homecoming game on November 1st, hosting the number 2 ranked Indiana Hoosiers, who decimated the same UCLA team by the score of 56-6 this past weekend. If you want to talk about a butt whooping, my word, Indiana. Ohio State's number 1. They're undefeated. They are the reigning, defending, undisputed national champions in college football. Indiana is ranked number 2 in the country after dismantling every team they played this year. So Maryland is going to have a lot. It's going to have its hands full coming up this homecoming week, and we will discuss more of the Maryland Terrapins football here on Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. I am your host, Charles Younger. You can follow me all over the place in cyberspace. I stole that from Mark Gray. At Charles Younger, that is CharlesNYonga. That is CharlesNYonga. Charles Younger, all across the place in cyberspace, all over social media. Your X, your Instagram, your Facebook, your Blue Sky, your Vines, etc., etc., etc. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Maryland football.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks: 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Make 2025 a winner now. That is the incomparable Mark Rogers, the head of the Voice of College Football, telling you about how you can, for entertainment purposes only, have a little fun with a little these numbers, these lines on these college football games. Speaking of football, I have the Sunday Night Football game on right now with me, keeping track with that. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can hear my dogs in the background talking. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Green Bay Packers. Ron Rodgers is playing his former team, and the Steelers currently lead the Packers 9-7 with about 45 seconds remaining in the half. And I do have Jaylen Warren on my fantasy team, and hopefully he can somehow get a score on this drive. Okay, back to the topic at hand. I am Charles Younger, your host here at Maryland Terrapins Live of the Voice of College Football. And let's talk about this Maryland football team. Again, another fourth quarter collapse. The Maryland Terrapins were outscored 13-7 in the fourth quarter, which is funny because after Malik Washington drove the Terps down the field, this highly game at 17, a 9-play, 75-yard drive, which took up about a minute and 25 off the clock, you would think that the team would be able to hold off and somehow, at least play for overtime. But Maryland defense played that prevent defense, prevent you from winning, allowing UCLA to drive the ball 68 yards and 33 seconds for Mateen Bugani, 23-yard game-winning field goal. UCLA had 196 yards in the fourth quarter to Maryland's 102. So if you look at these numbers there, straight up, just the layman's view, let's run down Maryland's fourth quarter here. And like I said, UCLA outscored Maryland 13-7 with 196 yards to Maryland's 102. UCLA rushed the ball 11 times, averaging 6.7 yards a carry. Quarterback, I am not going to try to say his name. I butchered it last week. Every week I'm going to say UCLA's quarterback. 9-15 for 122 yards. He just basically marched the team down the field to get in position for the field goal. While Malik Washington was 6-13, he had a touchdown and an interception. You look at the game totals. Maryland finally had a efficient running game, running the ball for 127 yards at 4.9 yards a carry. However, Malik Washington was not as efficient. He threw the ball 48 times, completing only 23 for a touchdown and an interception for 210 yards. Penalties were also a story of the game. UCLA had 10 penalties for 85 yards to Maryland's 5 for 60, but the penalties did not hurt UCLA as much as they did Maryland. UCLA was 7-17 on third down conversions, while Maryland 6-17. So there's kind of a push there. And time of possession is, again, UCLA 33 minutes of time of possession to Maryland's 26:58. Maryland won the turnover battle 3-2. But Maryland had to win the sack battle 2-0. But again, Maryland seems to find ways. Either the defense is running out of steam in the fourth quarter because the offense is not converting enough plays to score. Let's go down to the red zone. I'm trying to find the red zone numbers here, but Maryland had the ball in the red zone several times. It only ended up having. Let me go to the drives. The drives here. Let's look at Maryland's drive chart. First drive, 3 plays, 3 yards, punt. Second drive, 17 plays, 88 yards, field goal. Third drive, 3 plays, 7 yards, punt. Fourth drive, 3 plays, 2 yards, punt. Fifth drive, 5 plays, 34 yards, fumble. Last drive of the half, 9 plays, 51 yards, and a half. First drive of the second half, 3 plays, 4 yards, punt. Second drive of the second half, 4 plays, 25 yards, punt. Third drive, 7 plays, 50 yards, turnover and downs. Fourth drive, 3 plays, 8 yards, punt. Fifth drive, 3 plays, 2 yards, punt. Next drive, 4 plays, 19 yards, punt. Next drive, 2 plays, 7 yards, interception. Next play, last drive, 9 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. Maryland seemed to not want to, when they had the opportunity to score, they seemed to not want to score. And there was a few bad passes on Malik's behalf where he did not lead the receiver or put the ball in the right position for the receiver to make a play. As we see right now, Pittsburgh leads Green Bay 16-7 with a little less than 30 seconds remaining in the half. Ron Rodgers went home to to beat his former team and his former protege. But back to Maryland. It appears the defense appeared to wear down towards the end as you guys like Wingate, Riddick, Joyner, Scruggs, all in the field for extremely long periods of time. UCLA having more longer drives than any Maryland drive this season. So look at Maryland's time possession in these drives. 1 minute, 8 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 20 seconds, 27 seconds, minutes, 40 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, a minute 45, less than a minute, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, a minute 25. That is not going to win you any games here in college football, especially when you have a team like Indiana coming to town next week, who by all means and by all measures is the second best team in college football right now behind the Ohio State Bruins. So coming up after this, we're going to get here to take from Mark Gray about what he has to say about this game when it comes to what he believes is right and wrong about the Maryland Terrapins. Right after this.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Make 2025 a winner now. With the voice of college football, I am your host, Charles Yonga, CharlesNyonga across all social media platforms. Now, like I said, unfortunately, Mark Ray is not with us today, but he was able to record his take on what he believes is right and wrong with the Maryland Terrapins. Here's Mark Ray.
Hey, thanks, Chuck. It's kind of hard to put into context how a season with so much promise seemed to have just gone away in a matter of 3 weeks. And fortunately, this is a bye week so that the Terps can get healthy and lick their wounds. But the troubling aspect of what's going on with Maryland right now in terms of what's happening on the field, I can't even say that the game plan is bad. I can't say that the coaching is bad. I am buying into the notion right now that perhaps this team is too young and is coming to grips with their potential. So I understand that when you're dealing with a young team, you have your baby steps and you have your growing pains. And sometimes the kid actually falls down, hurts himself or herself, skins his or her knee, and hopefully it's nothing too detrimental. And so I look at the Maryland football program and this iteration of it in Mike Lockton's year as a toddler. All right. You take your first 3-4 steps, you're walking for a couple days, and then a little bit later on down the line, you might slip a little something, and it's hard to get up. Maryland fan has the hope that this team will find a way itself to, in fact, get over it, pick itself up, grow out of the habits that young teams do when they're losing. And, sometimes when a program hasn't had a great deal of success, what you end up doing is finding ways to lose. And that is what Maryland is doing right now, finding ways to lose. They lost back-to-back games at home, beating themselves. And what is happening is undisciplined plays, blows in coverage. But to me, it's the absence of the defense to hold up in the fourth quarter. Okay, the Bruins scored 13 points in the fourth quarter after trailing. Now, again, Maryland had plenty of opportunities offensively to add to the lead, and they couldn't drop the hammer down. To me, it's a sign of a team that doesn't know how to close. And that's something in football that's really pretty simple. You dominate the line of scrimmage in crunch time. That is what you have to do to win. Maryland cannot do this, y'all. And I don't get it. And once again, you've got a defense that plays exceptionally well, but you got injuries to Trey Reddick, Jalen Husky, and they were out for that final UCLA drive. And I knew going out there, if you had a chance to bury the Bruins early and you didn't, there was going to be something about that karma from, the new coach, Newhouse, that had taken over and giving UCLA a shot of life. Big ups to the Terps fan base for traveling out to LA. It was a once-in-a-lifetime moment to be at the Rose Bowl, but it wasn't enough. And here's the deal. UCLA was able to benefit from a critical interception that when you figure the ball is in the hands of Malik Washington and he puts the ball on the money so much, the Jaleel Farouks have got to catch the ball. And once again, you give the ball away to UCLA deep into Terp territory, and they cruise to a victory after the defense couldn't make a stop with just over 2 minutes remaining. So they lose the game, on basically what amounts to a last-second walk-off drive. And when you've been having double-digit leads for 3 weeks in a row on the other side of halftime, there's something that's wrong. And UCLA does this with a quarterback who had a knee injury and had to be helped off the field with just over 2 minutes to go in the game. All right, and so a backup quarterback warmed up, and then Nico Imamaliova, I think I got that right. Sorry, but the ridiculous nature of what has to be so frustrating here for Terp fans is that after the injury, the game was tied still at 17, and so Ima Alieva comes back to the game and just completes 2 passes, getting the ball to the Maryland 40-yard line, and then the rest, as they say, is history. 23 yards field goal, 2 seconds remaining. Terp fan has the long flight home sad. Now, I mean, what can you say about a defense that gives up a 35-yard run, all right, when you're trying to nurse a tie and force overtime on the road? And I think this is where I'm having my problems. I'm trying to figure out what is wrong with Maryland's defense. Now, again, I heard Ted Monachino that this is a high-energy group. They're going to get after it, but they haven't delivered in the money game to this point. I mean, twice at home, it was his defense. This defense that was lauded, it was going to turn the program around, has grossly underachieved since the Wisconsin game. And as we saw with Ohio State yesterday, Ohio State mashed Wisconsin. And anybody who was playing the line from Maryland should have had that any way you could have boxed it. You could take the money line, you could have took the spread. You knew going into that game, Ohio State, a defending national champion, though rebuilding to a certain extent, was not going to lose to that very bad Wisconsin team. So we can't even really give credit where credit is due to Maryland for that victory, quite frankly, because Wisconsin sucks. All right, it is what it is. But it's a dub on the road. At this point, it's the only conference win, which is a bad look. Vultures are now circling here, good, bad, or indifferent. But I want to know if you bring in a defensive coordinator, because everybody in their room, everybody. First thing that most of the guys who know me in the business that want to talk about the team are asking about, you know, the status of the head coach. I'm not privy to those conversations yet, but I'm not quite sure he's the fall guy here. I mean, the defense is just not performing at a level that they need to in crunch time. They don't get big stops either because of penalties or, quite frankly, being in the wrong play call at the wrong moment. And when you get in the conference and there's enough tape out there on Maryland's corners who are vulnerable, and the quarterback who is a true threat. And that, to me, qualifies as a semblance of a recipe for disaster. And what we're seeing is the team is schemed properly, and they have a game plan that will win the intangibles of, you know, false starts, offsides, pass interference, players getting thrown out. Again, you appreciate the aggressive nature of the defense, but the discipline has to be defined, for lack of a better term. And if the defensive coordinator doesn't have his troops focused in the moment, you're going to continue to have a season that's teetering on the possibilities that blows up into failure.
Washington.
And the scary part about it is Maryland's in a position right now where they're teetering on the brink of having to run the table simply to get a bowl or to qualify for a bowl invite. I'm just saying, it is amazing how in 6 weeks we have seen just an entire season of promise sort of blow up. And I just don't understand what that is. I really don't understand how we got to this point, other than the fact that there's some discipline issues with the team, certainly on the defensive side of the ball. And I think the secondary certainly is something that has to get better in its own right. So I think that the offense is performing at a way that's good enough to have won these games. You know, you're not talking about an offense that has to go back out on the field and is not completing its job of the 4 or 5 minute drill. I mean, the defense has given up consecutive losses, you know, inside the last 2 minutes. The defense is the closer, okay? It's like baseball. You get 2 outs, you get to the 9th inning, you bring in your closer. Who's Maryland's closer? And why can't they close defensively is the question that I want to know. I'm not saying that the offense is operating at a level that's going to set NCAA records by any stretch of the imagination. But I am saying that the defense is letting the team down now. And that's just what it is, okay? And we're finding that as great as Daniel Wingate is, he is not a one-man defense. The corners and safeties have to get better. Too many blown assignments. Too many undisciplined plays. You pick up penalties when you get stops on 3rd down. That is just, you make young mistakes, but when they're continuing to be repeated, then you have to look at another place. And I'm just wondering right now, it can't be addressed any more than Loxley, Manakino. You know, the position coaches are addressing with the players, yet they're still not making the plays. Where is the connection? And far greater minds have got to figure that one out for me. Now, I will live and die myself as a fan, if you will, with defensive players playing aggressively and might get beat making an aggressive mistake. But the mistakes of undisciplined, disorganized circumstances that lead to penalties that extend drives and change the momentum of the game and force your defense to have to make one more play on that side of the ball in order to get off the field when you thought you had it's becoming an epidemic. You know, and somebody needs to find a cure quick because it's going to kill the season. Thank goodness for the bye week. Maybe they can find the cure by the next time they strap it up. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's Professor G. Chuck, you got this.
That's right. I got this, Professor G. And he said they're straight. Maybe the team is too young. There are a lot of mistakes. It's just, there is something about this team that's like allergic to the fourth quarter. They play well, they do what they need to do, and then the fourth quarter happens, and it's just like they forget to play football. Like they don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on here. What's the big deal? But yeah, it's something that's going to have to be addressed. Like I said, they do have Indiana coming into town, and we're going to talk a little bit about that squad right after this.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Make 2025 a winner now. I am your boy Charles Younger here. This is Maryland Terrapins Live at the Voice of College Football. You can follow me all over social media at Charles Younger. That's CharlesNyonga. And I'm sitting here chilling. I got the Sunday night football game on in the background as the Ron Rodgers Pittsburgh Steelers lead his former team, the Jordan All You Need Is Love Packers, 16-7. And the second half just kicked off. Like I said, Packers lead 16-7. Just started the start of the third quarter. The Steelers had the ball first, and we're moving on. So, Indiana Hoosiers. Who would ever thought we'd be talking about the Hoosiers football program? We think we're talking about the Hoosiers in basketball. You know, you think about Bobby Knight, you think about Calvert Chaney, you think about just these great basketball programs of the past, but it is the Indiana Hoosiers football team who is making huge waves in Big Ten football. Like I said, they are the number 2 team in the country under head coach Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti has took over the helm. He's got a 19-2 record since he signed with them. If you look at his history, he started out in Pittsburgh as a graduate assistant, and then went to Davidson as a quarterback, wide receiver coach. And then he was at Rice, quarterback coach, Temple as a quarterback coach, Pittsburgh quarterback tight end coach, NC State quarterback tight end run coordinator, Alabama wide receiver run coordinator. That's where he worked. He probably worked with Coach Mike Locksley. He was at IUP, Elon. He was at James Madison, where he won a national championship. I believe he won that national championship with James Madison, I believe. And then now he's at Indiana. Career record of 138-37. So you know he's a winning coach no matter where he goes. Championships, 2 Sun Belt East Division champions, 2022, 2023. A PSAC champion in 2012, PSAC West Division champion 2012, 2015. 3-time CAA champion. AP Coach of the Year 2024, A. Robinson Coach of the Year 2024, Home Depot Coach of the Year 2020. The dude can coach. And you saw him do that in lower level football at James Madison, Elon, et cetera, and now in the big his cup of coffee in the big time at Indiana, where actually he has the Indiana Hoosiers ranked number 2 in the nation. And on the Friday show, we are going to go more into depth and more into preview the game as we will be at the homecoming game on November 1st at Sekou Stadium, as the Indiana Hoosiers come to town to College Park to face the Maryland Terrapins in what is going to be considered a make or break game for the Terps. Maryland doesn't want to be and Maryland is 0-10 after a bye week under Coach Locksley, so they don't want to make it 0-11. And if they somehow pull this off, that could probably salvage their season, because the Terps, after after Indiana, they do have some more tough games down the stretch. We'll bring up their schedule here. Let me bring it up here for 1 second for you. They do have They do travel to Rutgers the following week. Illinois comes to town. Michigan comes to town. Then they finish the season at Michigan State at Ford Field. So this is they have to make or break the game here. I mean, Indiana's number 2 team in the country. This game is going to be on big CBS. Wherever your CBS is, it will be on big CBS as like I said, Maryland plays number 2 Indiana. Well, let's talk about some of the players we got to look out for. Like I said, we will go into more detail of the Hoosiers once we go to once we get a chance to talk to the Tuesday presser with Coach Loxley and some of the players. But let's talk about some of the guys on this team. Led by Fernando Mendoza, who against UCLA was 15 of 22, or only 168 yards, but 3 touchdowns. After he was picked off in the first play of the game, the man said, "Nah, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna work for me. That won't work for me, dog. That's not gonna work for me, brother." Roman Hembry and Kaden Black, the 2 running backs who both touched the ball significantly a lot of times. EJ Williams Jr., the phenomenal wide receiver. This team is stacked, man, on the offense and on defense across the board. I mean, you saw what they did to UCLA. They shut them down. I mean, they held Emi Alavea. They held him to 130 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. He didn't have any big runs either to break it down. Anthony Fries was held to 31 yards on 6 carries. So they held UCLA to 80 yards on defense, on rushing defense, and then 113 yards rushing passing. So Indiana this is big boy football, basically. What I'm trying to say is this is big boy football for the Maryland Terrapins. And when we come back, I'm going to give my closing thoughts of what Maryland has to do when it comes to getting this train back on track.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Make 2025. Oh my goodness, what a pass and catch and run by Tucker Kraft Cheese. Tucker Kraft macaroni and cheese with a huge gain on a 3rd and 5. It looked like it was a mistake, and somehow he turned a mistake into like a 50-plus yard. I'm not sure the yards total, but Jordan Love out in the shotgun. He trips right with one receiver to the left. He drops back. He kind of throws it off his back foot. It's a duck, and somehow Tucker Kraft macaroni and cheese catches the ball and runs it for about a 60-yard gain. We'll get the official call here, but the Green Bay Packers trail the Pittsburgh Steelers 17-6 in the 3rd quarter. I am your host, Charles Junker, here for Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. You can follow me across all the places inside of space at Charles Junker. That's CharlesNynga. And please don't forget to do what I like to say is SSL: share, subscribe, and like, or subscribe, share, and like. You can switch to 2 S's, or SLS: subscribe, like, and share. We'll figure out which one we want to go with moving forward, but my closing thoughts on the Maryland Terrapins football program, as we do have a potentially elite growing quarterback and true freshman Malik Washington. We have a defense that needs to be bailed out a few times, who can play phenomenal for 3.5 quarters, but somehow runs out of steam in the last bit of the fourth because the offense cannot finish drives. That is the end of the story. The offense cannot finish drives. Pep Hamilton, you need to do something with this offense. You need to be more aggressive. I've noticed this in every game. When Maryland moves the ball, they attack the other team down the field, down the middle. Now, when they get the lead, they tend to run these little out routes. And I think I said this before, these little 3-yard out routes, hoping that the receiver can make a play, make a defender miss. That's not going to work. You need to attack. When you get up, don't take your foot off the gas. In the words of the Jacob Fatu, you got to be all gas, no brakes with it. And that's what you need to do moving forward. Because if you get a lead in Indiana and you pull that crap moving forward, the game won't be pretty, and the stadium will probably be empty by the second quarter because Indiana will boat race the Terrapins if the Terrapins don't learn how to finish drives. And on that, I must bid you adieu. This is another edition of Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. I have been your host, Charles Younger. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to spend it with me here on the Voice of College Football. Follow me at Charles Younger, CharlesNYonga. Follow the Voice of College Football at UCC there, the VOCFB. Go to the website at www.vocfb.com for some of the best coverage. We cover everything. Big Ten, Pac-10. Oh, is there a Pac-10 anymore? Who knows? ACC, SEC, Big 12, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So go to the Voice of College Football to get the best college football coverage out there. Don't go to the big corporate places. You don't want any part of that. Don't go to ESPN. Don't go to CBS. Don't go to Fox. You want to come to us at the Voice of College Football. Like I said, I am your host, Charles Younger. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the Voice of College Football. I am Charles Younger. Thank you and have a great day.